Welcome to KDTV. I'm very happy to introduce Jesper Vik, working with business development for Airbnb. Welcome to BI.
Thank you.
To start off, the idea or the possibility of renting out rooms, apartments, houses has been existent for I don't know how many years. What is it that Airbnb have done to have this huge success?
So, sharing your apartment or your house is nothing new. My grandparents did it. They were traveling through Europe, staying with other people on the way.
Yeah.
So what Airbnb has been able to do is take advantage of the technological advancements.
Yeah.
So, internet is very powerful, and now we have been able to put all of these apartments and houses into a huge network, right? So you can rent an apartment or a house pretty much anywhere in the world because you're connected to the internet. So basically, we're just there at the right time and at the right place to put this all together.
Yeah.
There's one more thing that's hugely important to Airbnb's success, and that is the fact that we're community driven. So, we don't own a single room like a hotel would.
Yeah.
The hosts do, right? So the hosts are kind of our products, our business partners. So they're the ones who are welcoming the guests from all over the world and actually providing the service. And they're super important to us, so we treat them like our business partners.
Yeah.
And that's, very, very important for Airbnb to take care of the community that we have built around the products.
Yeah. In just a few number of years, you have 2 million places in 192 different countries.
Yeah.
By taking part of a startup that had this super growth, what challenges have you faced on a more short-term perspective?
So personally, I would say hypergrowth is super exciting, but it's also very challenging. So we have an analogy at Airbnb that we often use, and I'm sure a lot of startups or hypergrowth companies will feel that this is very fitting.
Yeah.
So we usually say working here is like building an airplane while we're flying it. So it's very all hands on deck, always working. You have a lot of responsibility, but also the reward is super high when it works, as it has done up until now. So it's super fun, super rewarding, but of course challenging, but it's a fantastic time to grow.
Yeah.
You get a lot of
more the law part of it.
Yeah.
You have had some restrictions in, let's say, New York.
Yeah.
How do you face that?
So, with Airbnb as a relatively new concept, at least the magnitude of it, some places there are going to be, places where we don't necessarily fit into the existing parts.
Yeah.
And, talking to legacy makers all over the world is something that we're doing at Airbnb, and we're super excited about, because being regulated is really something we want to try to achieve. Basically, you can look at that as an acknowledgement of Airbnb. So that's very exciting in my opinion.
Yeah, definitely. Given the success you've had with renting out rooms, apartments, houses, are you considering to move into other product areas such as boats, cars?
That's a good question.
Planes.
I'm going to talk about this later in my presentation as well, but we're always looking at new and exciting opportunities, either to expand or just to grow our existing business. And so we have been very successful in our core product, which is home sharing, primarily in the urban markets.
Yeah.
And so, like I said, we're constantly looking elsewhere. How can we get better? How can we improve? One of those things, one example I could bring out is our newly formed business travel program. So this is one of the things that I'm working on at the moment. So, we launched this August 2015, and it's a dedicated product that targets business travelers to try to make it easier for both the traveler and the company that employs this business travel to use Airbnb. And since August 2015, we signed up over 70,000 businesses, which is pretty cool. So we have Facebook, Google, Morgan Stanley, Spotify. So, and now that represents, a good portion of our revenue. So that's just one example of how we're looking into new areas where we can expand and grow.
Yeah. So on that topic, where do you see Airbnb in 5 years from now?
That's a good question. I mean, hopefully we're accomplished our mission. So our mission statement is, or our tagline is belong anywhere. So kind of our mission is to make sure that all 7 or maybe in 5 years, 8 billion people on the planet can belong anywhere.
How do you get a job at Airbnb?
Well, pretty much like any other place, I would say, just be at the right place at the right time and show that you're key.
Yeah.
I would say just be persistent. When I started working at Airbnb, I did over 10 interviews over 3 rounds. So, and I was constantly following up and, hey, how did it go? And they were like, yeah, we liked you. Come back next week, do another one.
Yeah.
And then I got a short-term contract, which I got renewed into another short-term contract, which was renewed again. And then a year later, I'm finally fully employed. So, I mean, if you're looking for a job and you're out there in the job market, I would just say be persistent and, go after it and let them know that you have some value you can bring.
Yeah.
And that's
Are there any main qualifications as from school or any type of studies you had done in advance to applying?
No, and I mean, I'm not in recruiting, so I mean, I'm not the right person maybe to answer this, but I think Airbnb, one of the things that we're really focusing on is the culture.
Yeah.
So this is something that we hear all the time, and that one of our founders heard from one of their mentors, and that was don't fuck up the culture. Basically, so we put huge emphasis on the people we hire. So not only the skills they have or the experience they have, but also how they are as people, to be able to collaborate in an effective way internally. So super fun to be at Airbnb. There are a lot of very like-minded people and everybody gets along very well. So I'm very happy with all my colleagues. It's a great place to be.
Sounds fantastic in a world of change.
Yeah.
That also concludes our interview. Thank you so much. It was great having you.
Very good to be here.
Stay tuned for the next interviews. To watch the full interviews, go to karrieredagene.no. In addition, we would like to give a huge thanks to all of our KDTV sponsors.